All right, how's that? Is that better? I'm sitting up here running my mouth, gave my intro, and gave my intro, was talking to myself. Uh, yeah, I suck. Yeah, so what? Pause. Yeah, what's happening, monkeys? How y'all doing today? Appreciate you. Appreciate you guys sliding through. Today's live stream is about it's called Proxy War Babble, which I'll get into. Uh, but I want to talk about some other things, and I'm actually doing that, Mike. Uh, Going over what the live stream is going to be about somewhat today, but also one of the other things I wanted to talk about was the whole Neuralink system. I guess um, they made the announcement. The announcement was made that the Neuralink has been successfully implanted into a human volunteer um, under the name telepathy. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I'll pull the story up. In fact, let me see if I can find a video on that right now, and we'll take a look at that video, and I'll give my thoughts on it. I'll talk about it with you guys. So let me do that. Yeah. So let's see what stuff new Elon Musk is up to today. Who we should probably at this point, my thoughts about Elon Musk is that he is either the he's an evil genius or he is the Wizard of Oz. Um, you know, possibly a little bit of both, or he is uh he is the gateway to the future. I mean, we could also look at him in that regard as well. Ultimately, the jury is still out on Elon Musk, and
The the other thing that I
we'll
find
see.
interesting, Free Zone and Freeman.
We'll see. Basically, you know. Let me pull this video up for you guys. Turn it on. And oh, really? OBS is tripping. Guess it don't like me right now. Let's try this again.
Listen, there's a good chance somebody's trying to hack your website right now. You gotta make sure you're covered. I'm talking about
Really?
enterprise-grade security built into your site and fully managed for you.
Let's try it again. Man, that link.
This morning, a brain chip has been successfully implanted in a human, according to Elon Musk. The tech titan sharing a big breakthrough from his brain science startup company, Neuralink, saying it has implanted a device in a human for the first time, a possible step toward a product that Musk says enables control of your phone or computer and through them almost any device just by thinking.
Imagine the joy of connecting with your loved ones, browsing the web, or
Fair
even playing
use,
games
fair use.
using only your thoughts.
I'm having a little
Musk
trouble
posting
with
Monday
the camera.
received
Uh,
an implant from Neuralink.
Let me try that again because I want to actually be able to go through the story with you guys. So I'll try another link because that one was janky. Get no love from YouTube for some reason.
This morning, a brain chip has been successfully implanted in a human, according.
Tech billionaire Elon Musk is saying his Neuralink company has successfully implanted one of its wireless brain chips in a human for the first time. He made the announcement on X, his social media platform, saying the procedure happened on Sunday. He says the subject is recovering well and that initial results show a promising neuron spike detection. Mr. Musk says the product has been given the name telepathy, and the plan is for it to enable control of a phone, computer, or almost any linked device just by thinking about them. Several rival companies have already implanted what are known as brain computer interface systems in humans after tests were carried out initially on monkeys.
All right, let's stop. All right, y'all heard the story. I don't know if you all could see it. I couldn't see it on my end, so we heard we heard what the news reports were, and so what do y'all think? To me, this is basically definitely this is the idea of this is another step in the idea of in a direction of transhumanism, and I think honestly in some ways it's good, but in some ways are we going too far? You know, I think we really have to ask the question: Are we going too far? Mike Reed says, "When my SIM card goes bad, it's a bad day." But this, yeah, man, yeah. You'll be able to control your smartphone, just with the thought. You'll be able to control your any of your smart devices really from your you know. In my house, I have a smart thermostat. I have smart TVs, different things like that. Um, from what it sounds like preliminarily, um, you'll be able to control all of these items. You instead of speaking out, "Hey Alexa, do this," you'll be able to think it, and you know you can make that happen with an electronic device. Mike Reed says, "Bad chip means surgery." Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. That's another thing too. That's another question that has to be asked. What are the medical ramifications? Which is, I think that's a legitimate concern because this is new technology. And if you know, like I know about anything new, like for instance, buying cars, you never want to buy a brand new debut model of a car because there's going to be bugs that need to be worked out, and usually, you know, 2 or 3 series later, they've worked out most of the bugs before, it's a better purchase, if I could say that. Mike Reed says firmware update means surgery. Yeah, yeah. It might cause more medical problems than it'll solve. I mean, if you look at just what's going on with cosmetic surgeries, even though they've gotten a lot better with plastic and cosmetic surgery, the science is still developing on a lot of that, the techniques, so forth, the materials used, so forth, so on. So a lot of times, people have to go back and get stuff redone. You know, with this whole telepathy concept, I would imagine it would be the same or maybe even worse. Then you got to consider things like maybe radiation poisoning, um, you know, due to the technology used in those chips. You had to take that into consideration. Uh, you have to take into consideration as well, um, if you want to do something and the people that installed this chip, or somebody else that has a great amount of influence, they doesn't want you to do it, and they got more sway than you. They go in and key in some commands, and they'll prevent you from exercising your free will, and possibly even, cause a uh, an action such as a punishment. Restricting, your movement, your breathing, making you go blind temporarily. There's a whole lot of stuff that I have questions about with this, and quite frankly, I don't know enough about it. So I'm definitely going to do more research into it. And again, you have to ask the question: are we playing God? You know, um, that I think that's a good one because, um, you know, doing something like that, you're basically reshaping fate and destiny and all of that stuff. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Um, so yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot to see, and quite frankly, I'll say this much: if they're doing the tech, if they've done the technology and they're announcing it, you know, what is in the research? A lot of times, like for the vaccines, for example, um, you know, uh, there's a lot of research that goes into stuff. Ideally, ideally, there's a lot of research that goes into stuff that we, quite frankly, the average person is not really familiar with, and in a lot of cases don't really care because it doesn't impact their immediate life. You know, it doesn't. It's not something that they're going to deal with within the next day, week, month, or year. And so we tend, most people tend not to look at, you know, what went into the finished product. So, um, so that's kind of interesting. You know, looking at the what's behind the scenes. You know, Mike Reed says Elon needs this so that one pilot can control the operations of a ship to make. I can't see that this doggone heart icon. Let's see if we can pull it out. To make no something looks like a matter operating a ship, no matter where the pilot is located in the ship. Okay, all right. So Mike Reed says Elon needs this one so that one pilot can control the operations of a ship no matter where the pilot is located in the ship. Good point. Good point. That could very well be something that was taken into consideration. Seeing as how he's got the whole SpaceX project going, and he's really pushing to try to colonize Mars. So yeah, I can see that. I've got other questions like, why is this technology um, pursued so hard by Elon Musk when we don't really have the science and medicine to really understand the brain, first of all, and how to make people more intelligent, you know? And I guess this is a way to make people more intelligent, but again, you know, um, at what cost, you know? And that's the thing. I don't think a lot of people take into consideration, you know. Seeing this story, I have a lot of questions. So, it is what it is, man. So in other news, I don't know if you all know who Destiny is, but Destiny is a content creator, you know, a leftist that he walks around with purple and blue hair and stuff, and like I said, he's a leftist, and he likes to go and debate people that he feels are on the right side of politics and stuff. And he recently got into a debate with Alex Jones, and they debated the election. They debated. Mike Reed called him zest. He called him zesty. Zestiny. Yeah, yeah. He's done some highly unethical stuff in his personal life, and it is his personal life, but it's still not a good look. You know, he was in a he's in an open he was in an open marriage, and he lost his wife to a dude that was more zesty than he was, and you know, before he got divorced, he would get on social media and talk about how he didn't mind his wife getting clapped out by other guys, and you know, it's like, okay, all right, you know, thing about that is uh I'm a big proponent in doing what works, and really, you know, this semi-monogamy that we have, you know, and I call it semi-monogamy because you can be with a person, divorce them, and go get another person. When true monogamy is you get with one person and you're with them for the rest of your life. We clearly see that that doesn't happen in a lot of cases. So you know, therefore, I use the term semi-monogamy. But the ideal of monogamy or semi-monogamy is what works best, and that's not saying that people can't experiment with other stuff, but you know, again, it's at what cost. You know, Mike Reed says Journey to Mars is 6 months. I couldn't be in one seat for 10 hours doing absolutely nothing. You're right, just watching monitors and, you know, stuff like that. But you could be like dodging asteroids and comets and different stuff. So, you know, you would have definitely have to be superiorly, a person with superior focus. And that's probably where that telepathy and Neuralink technology would come in. You know, it would um fix the attention span of people that need it, you know, or even do the work for people. So, you know, that's something else to consider, you know. But yeah. So, but anyway, you know, Zestiny was debating Alex Jones. Alex Jones is a popular. He is described as a popular conspiracy theorist in social media, you know, in media, and he, you know, he talks about a lot of different things that'll make you think, like you know, he's talked about the pretty much the slavery dynamic and how really he gave like a Willie Lynch style spin on it, from what he from stories he heard from his grandfather, and it was like, wow, you know, what he said really makes sense if you talk to older people, especially from the South, and how, you know, like if you had great grandparents around and you were able to, you know, sit at their feet and listen to some of those stories. Alex described a story that was like, yeah, I can see that. You know, I'm pretty neutral on some of the stuff that Alex Jones says because he says a lot of stuff that it makes sense, but then, you know, some of the stuff turns the corner and you're like, nah, dude, I don't know about that. But at the same time, you know, where does the truth end and the BS begins? You know, that I think that's the question with anything Alex Jones puts out. Well, him and Destiny had a debate. They debated quite a bit of stuff, um, pretty much with the social politics in the U.S. And I think it was a good debate. Let me see if I can find the video on that. And if I can find the video, let's see if I could show it. All right, let's see if we can find this. Alex Jones versus uh, Destiny. Got some on the hill. Let's see what we can see if we can pull this up, man.
Zapier's easy automation can send every marketing lead directly into your sales team's pipeline.
Well, maybe the last story was bad. Look at this, courtesy of the Hill.
Friend of the show, Glenn Greenwald, recently joined a panel of other political commentators, including Destiny, Alex Jones, and the Krasenstein brothers, to discuss whether or not Trump's actions on January 6th rose to the level of a coup. Greenwald took the position that January 6th was not a coup. Here he is justifying that case.
If you look at how other coups are perpetrated, and I think a lot of this is that if you're an American and you have this very soft history, you don't know what a coup is, you think that like what CNN tells you a coup is a coup. Usually the way coups work is the leader of the country, or whoever is in charge of the military, orders the military to seize control of the levers of power. Trump was the commander-in-chief on January 6th. The military was duty-bound to obey his orders. They had a right to disobey if they were illegal, but if this were a coup, why didn't Trump order the military to seize control of the power and turn over the election process to him? Why didn't he order the armed factions that form the law enforcement part of the military and the executive branch that serve under his command to do that as well? That's what happens in a coup. That didn't happen here because Trump wasn't trying to perpetrate a coup.
Later in the panel, Greenwald got into an argument with liberal streamer Destiny. Let's take a look.
If you want to talk about applying the same standard, would you have been okay in the year 2000 if Gore refused to certify the vote because he didn't like what was happening in Florida?
A lot of Democrats did want him to do that.
Can you answer that question? Glenn, answer the question.
Yes, and I would have actually. Yes, a lot of Democrats were angry about that.
I'm not asking if a lot of I'm asking you would be okay personally if he refused to certify the vote.
I think there were two.
You won't answer the question. In 2016, would you have been okay if would you?
All right, let's stop right here. Destiny gets on my nerves more than most, and you know, it's got a lot of estrogen energy, you know, but I will say this: he is intelligent enough to actually state a lot of his points and hold a debate. You know, so this is a guy like that. If you have to debate him, you better come correct and be sharp. Let's continue. Fair use, fair use.
Okay,
Because if you really believe that an election is stolen, as the Democrats claim they did, then it is kind of odd to say, we're just going to concede that and allow George Bush to march into power, even though we believe that he actually stole the election.
Yes,
that is kind of an odd way to go about your
it's not all that all. We live in a democracy.
Ed and Brian Krasenstein attempted to deflect comparisons between the Black Lives Matter riots and the attack on the Capitol. Let's watch.
I don't think that Black Lives Matter was an insurrection. I do think 1992.
Yeah, okay. BLM was not an insurrection. Yeah, okay. In fact, I think they did more damage to the political process and to the nation than anything the January 6th people did. Let's continue.
Two riots in LA was an insurrection. George
Did Black
Herbert
Lives
Walker
Matter
Bush.
lack? Did
What?
Black Lives Matter black that made it not an insurrection? What did it lack?
So it was a protest, and the violence was when the police clashed with the protesters. The violence was not against the government in order to stop the government from doing something.
There weren't Antifa and anarchist groups there that explicitly say they were using violence to overthrow the government. That didn't happen.
They were firebombing federal courthouses. God, that's not true.
They were the bombs on the courthouses. There's nobody. It was at nighttime. There's no.
In Minnesota, I believe they took over a police station and a courthouse. I could be wrong on the courthouse part, but I do definitely they did take over a police station for something like well over a week. Let's continue.
Nobody in there. They were not obstructing
the
anything.
Firefighters got to fight it. Arson's a serious crime.
It's a fun gathering. Surprised we didn't get our invite. So sad.
Well, I've had this exact debate with Glenn Greenwald on my show, who I respect a great deal, but I do think he's playing fast and loose with definitions. Not every coup is a military coup. There is definitionally something called a soft coup, which is much closer to what's being described here. And I think that he's right that the focus on whatever skirmishes were happening outside of the Capitol on that given day were not the coup, any more so than, I guess the claim that's being made here is that protests in Los Angeles in the 90s somehow were tailored to overthrow the government. I think both claims are absurd. But what can be more accurately described as a coup, or Trump very clearly trying to hold on to power outside of what the democratic laws of this country would dictate, is him calling up several elected officials in several states and plotting with them, this is what's being alleged, to put together fake slates of electors that do not reflect what the people in the state did on voting day, but different, wrong, made-up, felonious results that were then sent to the Capitol, and Mike Pence was supposed to say there's ambiguity here. I'm going to certify the fake, I can't decide whether the fake slate or the real slate is the appropriate thing. So we're just going to pump this to Congress, who, because of the distribution of Congress, would have elected Trump. That is a soft coup. That is a plan. Now, that probably has to be proven. These courts have to prove that was in fact what was taking place. But that is clearly an action tailored toward making sure the election results were not respected. That is not the same thing as someone trying to storm the Capitol, or someone protesting Black Lives Matter, protesting the murder of George Floyd, or someone protesting in the LA riots, or anything like that, none of which has any connection to action.
Yeah, okay, all right. We're going to stop right here because, at this point, it was a lot of, political babble that I didn't care to continue to go through. So, but what they was trying to say was that comparing the BLM protests to what happened on January 6th was apples to oranges. And I somewhat disagree because it was first of all, true enough, they had different targets, but the object was pretty much the same. And they also had different focal points and parameters, but the object was still it was still the same, and the object was to affect was to impact legislation, was to attempt to impact legislation to turn in a way that the protesters desired. And so in that way, those situations were similar. And I look at it as because the January 6th protesters did not use weapons or anything, you can't really call that an insurgency. So that was a protest. And even the director of the FBI said January 6th was not an insurrection. So I think, if anybody was playing fast and loose with words, it was the politicians and the mainstream media, but it is what it is. And looking back at that and going into the 2024 election, it'll be interesting to see what happens as we get closer to election day, especially when it warms up around the country, because people tend to get more active. And the closer it gets to election day, you're going to have more people out making political statements and stuff through the forms of campaigns, townhouses, protests, so forth and so on. So we'll see. Uh, Mike Reed says, "You're not alone with the reaction to Zestiny." Yeah, yeah, yeah. Zestiny gets on my nerve, but you have to give him his due. He is intelligent, and he he articulates his points very well. Not that he is right on his points, not that he's right or wrong, but he is very articulate in how he lays his points out, and so you got to come correct when you debate him, because if you don't, he will make you look stupid, you know. Um, so yeah, they were wild. Yeah, so you had that situation going, you know, and I expect to see more debates like that. I expect to see more people getting involved. I think we're going to hear a lot more out of people like the Glenn Lowry's and John McWhorters. Uh, we'll probably hear more out of people like Larry Elder. Various people on the right, um, actually debating certain points. And of course, you're going to have the cadre on the left, and it'll be interesting to see. Um, in other news, pretty much, um, what's going on in Texas. Texas, Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, has taken it on upon himself to defend the borders of Texas, because um, pretty much the government won't do it, and the current administration has pretty much made the border, the southwest border, so porous to the point to where um, it is described by Greg Abbott as an invasion, and I can see his point, and his point that it was an invasion because he says so because of the amount of military age men coming through the border. Now, um, men of the ages of between 18 and 40, they could be considered men of military age, or they could be considered men of working age too. It's all in how it's all in what happens now that those men are here, and it's all in how the story is told. And so this is something we got to keep our eye on, because there has been arrest of several people from countries that are the enemies of the U.S. Um, the most recent, what was this guy's name? I was just reading something the other day. This guy's on the watch list, and they stopped him at the border, and for that one guy to stop, how many more have gotten in? You know, that's the question that I have. And when they get in, um, will they be setting up cells? Because it's not like that hasn't been done previously. As we all can remember, um, this is how Al Qaeda operated, and several other terrorist groups. And at their appointed times, they've all made actions to carry out, acts of terrorism. And with the amount of people coming through that Texas border, um, I keep saying this, that we're going to see more acts of terrorism. It's not a matter of if, it's when. And I think it was irresponsible for the government to allow what's going on to happen at that border. You know, it's not a good look. Now, Mike, are you in Texas? Are you in Texas, Mike Reed? I was on a live stream earlier, and there was a guy that was boots on the ground, and he was talking about some of the stuff that was going on in Texas. You in Texas, Mike, or no? Well, anyway, I was on the live stream. I had a slight echo. Maybe that was when I was playing that other video. Who knows? But either that or I got two feeds going in. If that's the case, I'll shut one down. What about now? Let me shut down all this other audio so we don't get any double feed and echoes and stuff like that. How's that now? Is that good? Put a one in the chat. Let me know if the volume's good. Well, I don't have a response. I don't have any response from the chat either way. So I'm going to just continue until somebody else says something, and then we'll deal with it from there. But what's going on in Texas? I mean, okay. Well, what's going on in Texas? It looks as if um, you already have a large Hispanic population there of primarily Mexican descent, um, that's been there for years already, and now that population has in, has doubled, and we know what's going on in the news, in Illinois and in New York, but you don't see a whole lot of news of what's happening in Texas. So other than Greg Abbott dealing with this border situation. So I would like to know what the people who actually, the everyday people, what they're actually saying, experiencing and saying, so forth and so on. That would be interesting because they're going to give more context into the story, and paint a better picture of what what the rest of the country needs to see. You know, um, so it is what it is, man. This is definitely going to have long range um, repercussions. You know, and the one I know big goal of the Democratic Party was to they basically want to artificially inflate their voting base. The funny thing is that oh, Hispanics don't always do what the Democratic Party wants them to do. A lot of them have conservative leanings and tend to you know vote Republican. A lot of them vote, certain issues beyond immigration, and a lot of his Mexican Americans, a lot of Hispanic and Latin Americans don't like uh, unregulated immigration, you know, and they'll tell you. You know, they tried to, they left a lot of those countries, for a very good reason. And they didn't want a lot of the nonsense that they left to follow them to the US, and that's different than the ones who were born here and who've been here 2 or 3 generations. The US is all they know. But for the ones coming from, Venezuela, coming from Honduras, coming from, Mexico and stuff. They left those places to get away from certain stuff. Once they get stability, their their vote goes conservative. Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. You look at I'm down here in Florida, and you look at what happens with the Cubans, and I'm seeing this a lot with the Hondurans here in North Florida. They tend to vote they tend to split that vote, um, well with the Cubans, a lot of them, they're escaping communism and socialism, and they vote Republican. A lot of them don't mess around. Now their kids, I'm not gonna even say kids, it's like the grandkids and great grandkids. A lot of them have you know, left leanings, and that's because they're here in the U.S. and they're indoctrinated in the school systems and stuff. But them older ones and them ones that managed to escape Cuba nowadays, they get into the U.S. and they vote Republican. They don't. They don't mess around with that. They don't mess around with that other stuff. It reminds them too much of Castro, you know. And even with Mexicans and stuff, a lot of them have very conservative values. A lot of them, you know, um, a lot of them don't like democratic policies. A lot of them are at odds with democratic policies, especially when you get outside of big urban areas. They ain't trying to be bothered with that stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. And then obviously you're going to see the changing of neighborhoods, like um, where Mike is from. We saw what happened on the north side of that town. That it became uh Mexican, and with that, you saw a lot of instances of uh, racism. you know, just flat out racism. And it wasn't everybody in those areas, but it was enough to where it actually hit the police blotters, to where Black Americans and African Americans, 2 different groups, by the way, but those citizens and people traveling through those areas were being harassed and attacked by the Mexican and Hispanic citizens in the north part of that area. So, you know, and then when you talk about places like San Salvador, El Salvador, a lot of them have anti-black, anti-African sentiments. And so, they get over here, and you think they're gonna leave that stuff over where they came from? No, not really. No. Not at all. Uh, so, you see it in the schools and stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be a hot mess. So it is what it is. So it'll be interesting to see. You look at what's going on in Chicago. There's a lot of tension between. It's like a three-way fight, really a four-way fight. You have uh, you have the Black Americans who feel like they're being displaced by the injection of the primarily Hispanic immigrants coming from Mexico and Central America and South America, even. You have them that, they're not comfortable with what's going on. They have their complaints. Then you have members of the established Mexican community. They, they quite frankly don't like the introduction of the immigrants because they're doing their best to kind of hold their neighborhoods to um, what they are, and you're introducing new people. You know, some of them are Mexican, but a lot of them aren't. Again, you have people from El Salvador, San Salvador, Ecuador, Venezuela, you know, all of these other places. And, you know, they're different. They look the same, but they're different people. They have different cultures, different historical backgrounds, um, different mindsets and stuff. So you're starting to see more people in the established historic Mexican community having some issues with that. Uh, you have you have the white German and Italian and Polish population. You know, you have immigrants competing for those jobs that they had kind of more or less taken over. Um, and so it is you that's a stressful situation, and it'll really turn into um those union wars of the past. you know um and it's like with a lot of those manual labor jobs and stuff going away, the competition for the remaining jobs is going to be a lot higher. So you got to take that into consideration. So yeah, let me see if I can grab this link um, with this. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Let's try this again. Well, I tell you, YouTube don't want me to be great today, man. I'm really tripping. I was watching, and this is was watching this story earlier about the U.S. Um, bombing of of structures for the Houthis, and what's interesting with that is that the Houthis are backed by Iran. They're funded by Iran. They're one of the groups funded by Iran, and this is one of those proxy wars that I referred to in past streams. And even how this stuff is being carried out, it's like you could, in my opinion, what the U.S. is doing is not genuine. Is number one, it's not the U.S. not um, they're not we're not actually going to cause a casualty count. It's basically turning a lot of their structures into rubble. And the thing about that is, if you're going to launch attacks like that, you might as well go after the people, in my opinion, because if you don't, you ain't gonna do nothing but make them mad, and then they're going to,
Good morning, guys.
sneak across
Say
that
hi to everybody
southwest
in chat.
border,
What's up,
come to the United States and
Stormbringer,
set up
Cindy?
shells. Let's take a
Small
look at
barn.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, everyone.
Like,
yeah, of course. Information will be downplayed by the mainstream media.
Like when they left in Jacksonville, Florida this morning, it was at 9 a.m. They let you didn't know that. They know they had time arrival 7 p.m. Sorry, I thought maybe 5, but 7 p.m. And
yeah,
then
that's cool. Everyone can kind of join in wherever's closest to them.
Yeah. But that's just give you guys an idea of what's going on with that trucker convoy.
Yeah, that's
And,
not what I wanted to talk about. What I want to talk about is these troops. American Patriot News, I like these guys, but they're pretty long-winded. And let's see. Let's see what we got here. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Not at all. Okay, that ain't gonna work. I need to find a shorter report. Bear with me, guys. Let me go find this. Yeah. Let's take a look at this. All right, I'm gonna pull up this video from Breaking Point, and we'll see if it'll give us a more condensed version of what we're looking for. Anyway.
We're getting new details this morning about that deadly attack that killed 3 U.S. service members in Jordan on the border there with Syria, including who those service members were. This is unbelievably tragic. Put this up on the screen. 3 young Black soldiers, all based out of the state of Georgia, are now dead because of those attacks. Let me read you a little bit about them. 3 American soldiers killed in a drone attack at a U.S. base in Jordan this weekend were Army reservists from a Georgia-based engineer unit. William Rivers, Kennedy Layden Sanders, and Breonna Alexandria Moffett were killed.
Okay, word about these troops. These are not combat troops. These are construction troops. In an engineer brigade. I actually know people from this brigade, as you all know. For the majority of my career in the military, I was a combat engineer. Now, if you know anything about what combat engineers are, we had a very different function than our regular infrastructure engineers. We were combat troops. We, did missions with the infantry. We, we assisted in mobility and maneuvers and different things like that. We were the dynamite boys, basically. These are not those troops. These are troops. These troops build roads, buildings, are in allied trades, different things like that. Rest in peace, young soldiers. It's unfortunate this had to happen to you. Let's continue.
Killed in that January 28th attack when an unmanned aerial system crashed into the container units they were using for housing on the base. At least, now these numbers have gone up, at least 40 additional U.S. troops were injured, that according to Pentagon officials. This comes, of course, on top of the 2 Navy SEALs, who were dead after attempting to intercept weapons that Iran was allegedly sending to Yemen. The service members who were dead in a training exercise, and quite a number of U.S. service members who have suffered also traumatic brain injuries and other injuries in additional of these similar style attacks. And as we covered yesterday, Sagar, we've had something like more than 160 of these attacks on our service members in the region. And one of the big questions that we immediately had yesterday was, how the hell did this happen? How did our air defenses fail to the point?
Okay. Earlier we talked about Neuralink, we talked about telepathy, we talked about technology. There is a technology that the military uses that guides these drones and different missile attacks and stuff. One of the big concerns with that technology is that if it glitches, if the technology is commandeered by other enemy forces, or if the technology doesn't work, what is the fallback plan? Those are things that have to be taken into consideration. And unfortunately, with this system, with this situation, there was a failure in the technology to do the intended job. Let's continue.
Where this suicide drone attack was able to succeed. We're now getting some answers, at least this is the official answer coming from the US government as told by the Wall Street Journal. We can put this up on the screen. They say the US failed to stop a deadly attack on an American military outpost in Jordan when the enemy drone approached its target at the same time that a US drone was also returning to the base. This again, according to US officials. The return of that US drone led to some confusion over whether the incoming drone was friend or foe. Officials have concluded so far, though they caution the inquiry into the attack was in an early stage. So what do you make of?
Okay, so this was likely largely to human error. This wasn't an attack, a drone attack from U.S. equipment. This was a drone attack from enemy equipment, and there was some confusion about the drones, because at the same time there was a U.S. drone out there. At the same time as this enemy drone that was in the area, and it caused a bit of confusion. And unfortunately, troops were lost and troops were injured. Let's continue.
Of these revelations and the details that they're providing us so far, Sagar?
Well, there are a couple of terrifying options. Number one is that it's not true and they're hiding the truth from us. I would not dismiss that possibility. There's been a lot of discussion, Crystal, about whether this really did occur in Jordan or not, because there could have had legal complication problems if this did occur in Syria and others. But I'll put that to the side and let's just at least, let's try and take the Pentagon at their word. If we take them at their word, then our billion-dollar weapon systems, our air defense systems that we spent hundreds of millions of dollars that allegedly are keeping safe all of our thousands.
All right, let's stop right here. Let's move along. I haven't seen this video, so I want to get to the story about U.S. troops in Yemen. Let's see if they have a banner up about that story. Okay.
War with Iran, let's bomb the hell out of them. We've got to strike back, et cetera, et cetera. And the media class does us no favors either, because that's always the direction that they push in as well, even though the heart of the problem here, the core of the issue, is our unconditional support for Israel and our unwillingness to push for a ceasefire. When there was a brief period, 6 days of a ceasefire, these attacks stopped, and our service members and our country were much
to the president's decisions.
So hopefully that is accurate. Hopefully they are not looking to escalate, and hopefully they don't want war with Iran, and critically are going to do what it takes to avoid a war with Iran. But the most important thing they could possibly do, in addition to whatever the
Let's move on.
In Iraq. We tried to kill our way out of the insurgent problem. Didn't work. It only worked whenever we tried to try and deal with the political problems that were fueling the insurgency. And frankly, even that had very limited success, required a lot of time, material, money, troop debts, and all of that, and we eventually ended up pulling out. But the limited amount that we ever made any progress in the country was commitment and to trying to deal both with fighting and killing insurgents, but to deal with the political problems that are underneath there. It is very obvious where all of this stems from. And it is also obvious, though, the Biden administration doesn't want to deal with it. Okay, but then you were signing us up for a continued tit for tat thing like this. And this, unfortunately, could just be opening salvo. 3 troops killed here. Who knows how many killing in response? What does the response look like?
Stop here. I'm not getting. Unfortunately, I'm not getting the story that I would like to see. Let me see if I can pull up another story. Let's do this. Okay, that was the most recent story, and that's actually a misleading headline. Yeah, I'm not. I don't feel like. I don't feel like searching that. But I'll say this much: it's not surprising if the U.S. does have troops in Yemen. We've had troops in Yemen before to deal with certain things. And these are not your regular your regular basic troops. Usually in places like that, the they usually have your real war fighters. So you'll have you'll no doubt have Marines in combat MOSs. You'll have you'll have Rangers over there. You'll have your special forces, your SEALs, uh, your 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 uh, your combat controllers, so forth and so on. So, you know, when that happens, that is usually the prelude to a bigger operation because those guys over there gathering intelligence and so assessments can be made if something's going to happen, how and when. They're answering they're basically answering the questions and providing information for the who, what, when, where, why, and how. So and when you, quite frankly, when you see it, when they start talking about it in the news, them guys have been there much longer. So, it's just at the point it hits the news, it's finally, either it can't be something that can be hidden, or something bigger is about to happen, and it's like, okay, we're here now. Something's about to go down. So, anyway, what are your thoughts on that? If anybody want to put something in the chat, ask any questions about that, feel free. Uh, you know, as some of you all know, I spent 20 years in the military. Majority of that time, I was in a combat MOS, and I dealt with helping people from the rank of colonel to general make decisions. I would provide information and assessments and recommendations that would assist them in making the ultimate decisions on how they wanted to proceed and whatever it was that they wanted to do. So, if you have any questions, if I can answer them, I will. you know. So, I wasn't a Delta Force guy, nothing like that. Um, but I had a pretty important position nonetheless, and the decisions, the information that I made often fed into certain missions that those guys may have been involved in, and as well as conventional forces, so forth and so on. So, like I've said before, all of this is a prelude to um, the road to World War III. It is what it is. So if you got military age children, understand that it is a very good chance that a World War III would happen in their lifetime. So it is what it is. Any other questions? Well, I got a couple more minutes to talk. Um, I'll knock those out, and then I'm going to shut this down. I'm not sure if I'm done for the day. You know, um, especially I've been on here quite a bit today. 'Cause, earlier I was in another live stream, actually another couple, and just you know, doing what I do, which is babble, running my mouth. Um, all right, off topic. Let's talk about let's double back on the Obsidian thing. Now that Obsidian, he had his main channel struck, actually deplatformed. He's in my opinion, he has right now he has the Andrew Tate effect where he's being talked about more than he before when his platform was going. And he had a pretty popular platform as far as the relationship talk, self-improvement, dating, so forth and so on. Well, he got deplatformed. He got into it with Kimberly Foster, who she is considered to be one of the black female thought leaders on social media. They had quite a bit of a back and forth, um, you know, and there was some doxing, I think, on her part, um, or some allegations of doxing against her from Obsidian, and they had their war of words, and oddly enough, Obsidian is the one that ended up getting deplatformed, and I think it was because he was probably more direct in how he responded to the things dealing with Kimberly Foster that he didn't like. And she was able to articulate them in such a way to get him to platform. That being said, he still has a platform on YouTube, believe it or not. Um, there's still reruns of certain videos of his being played. So, he's still around. And like I said, he's got a bit of the Andrew Tate effect going on to where, he's actually being talked about more because a lot of people are pontificating and debating on what actually happened and, what caused it and what he could do differently and if he's coming back or not. So it's pretty interesting. But I say all in all, um, just with the discussions like that, and I think we as content creators, I think we have to be really careful and not, uh, and I mentioned this before. We can't make what we say uh, look like bullying. So it's like, if there's a disagreement with another content creator, or beef or what have you, there comes a point to where some of that stuff you got to let go. You know, whatever you don't agree with, whatever the conflict is, some of it you got to let go, and you have to measure your attacks, and you have to understand that some battles just aren't worth fighting. You know, uh, sometimes you just gotta, hey, that's them over there. I'm over here. I'm gonna do my thing over here. They do what they do over there is what they do over there, and just deal with it. And also not be in a situation to where YouTube is your only platform. We have other platforms out there such as Kick, Rumble, Facebook, Instagram, uh, Twitch. There's a lot of other platforms you can get on and run your material, run your shows and your content on those you know platforms, to where if you get shut down on YouTube, you got other places to still put your work in and not have to, not necessarily need YouTube. I mean, YouTube is the big dog, but at the same time, they're not the only dog. And I think for right now, I think Rumble is a pretty solid up and comer. I've tried to stream. I've tried to multi-stream to Rumble while I'm on YouTube, but for some reason, OBS doesn't like me doing it. While I'm doing YouTube. I got to figure out the technical part, but I'll get that going. Anyway, I got some stuff I got to do, so I'm gonna jump off right now. You guys take it easy. I may come back, I may not. I will be back definitely tomorrow with another topic that I can babble and ramble on. But you guys be easy. This is Royce J of Royce Media. Like, share, and subscribe. Get in the comment section. Uh, even if you don't like the video, hit the thumbs down. If you don't like it, hit the thumbs down. If you have show ideas, my email is in the bio. Shoot me an email. And at that, I'm going to shut this down. I'll talk to you guys later.